Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely massive. It's completely invisible, yet it literally dictates almost everything about our daily lives. We're looking at the intricate mechanics of how global capital markets work. Think of it as this giant, invisible money machine that's just constantly humming in the background of our world.
Right off the bat, let's dive in. The absolute fundamental rule of this whole machine is pretty simple. Money never stays still. It is always on the move. Every single second of every day, millions of financial decisions are actively shifting capital all over the globe, constantly reacting to new information and seeking out new horizons. And that brings us to the really big question driving today's explainer. Where does all this money actually go? And, more importantly, how can a split-second decision made by some investor sitting in an office in New York instantly shake up financial markets and even the price of everyday goods all the way over in Mumbai? To kind of ground this abstract concept, let's start small. Imagine you deposit, say, 1,000 rupees into your local bank. Well, they don't just lock it away in a dusty vault. They leverage their balance sheet to extend credit to a business. Then that business builds a factory, workers get paid, and those workers deposit their salaries right back into the banking system. Just like that, your personal savings transformed into real, tangible economic activity. One person's savings literally becomes another person's investment.
But of course, that cycle doesn't stop at the edge of town. Capital crosses borders.
When that money hits the global stage, it basically takes one of two main avenues. First up, you've got bonds, which is essentially predictable debt. Think of a Japanese investor buying a US government bond. Second, you have stocks, actual equity ownership, like an Indian investor buying a stake in a massive US tech company. They're just these two vehicles. Millions of international investors are instantly linked up, fueling growth across completely different continents.
Now you might be wondering, why take on these international risks at all? Why pump your money into an unpredictable emerging market instead of just keeping it safely at home, right where you know the rules and the landscape?
Well, the answer is pretty simple. Investors are always on the hunt. They want better overall returns, wider global exposure, and superior risk-adjusted profiles. Capital naturally gravitates toward whatever asset offers the absolute best growth opportunity. If an emerging economy looks like it's about to boom, the money rushes in, chasing that extra profit that just isn't available in slower-growing, mature domestic markets.
So what happens when the financial environment changes? Enter the pull of interest rates.
Think of central banks as this massive invisible gravitational force. When interest rates in major economies are really low, holding cash pays practically nothing. So investors are forced to look elsewhere for profit, sending their money out to riskier emerging markets. But if that central bank suddenly hikes rates, boom, the gravity shifts. Investors can suddenly get high returns without taking on all that emerging market risk, so they immediately pull their capital right back to safe assets.
Let's look at the real-world consequence of this gravity. When investors decide to pack up and leave, they sell their assets for local currency, say rupees, and immediately convert them back to US dollars to take home. Because millions of people are doing this all at the exact same time, demand for the local currency absolutely plummets, which weakens it. Suddenly, imported goods and energy become instantly costlier. A distant capital flow just became a very real economic squeeze on your daily expenses, driving up inflation before you even realize what hit you.
And this brings us to a pretty notorious force in finance: hot money. We're talking about capital that rushes in for a quick profit, but has absolutely zero loyalty. It flees just as fast the second the wind changes. This incredibly fast-moving money is exactly why growing countries are so vulnerable. It provides amazing liquidity during the boom times, but it delivers massive, volatile shocks the minute fear sets in.
Which sets the perfect stage for the global domino effect. Here's how financial contagion actually spreads in real time. Let's say a major institution in one market suddenly faces insolvency. Almost instantly, global investors get spooked and they just start dumping risky assets everywhere, just to be safe. Seeing the prices of collateral free-fall, banks panic. They tighten credit, freezing out perfectly healthy companies. Ultimately, capital indiscriminately flees across borders. Fear in one isolated market just triggered a worldwide liquidity crisis, proving that in global finance, literally everything is connected.
This kind of widespread panic triggers what's known as a flight to safety.
This is when investors completely abandon the hunt for returns and prioritize sheer survival, just hoarding safe haven assets. And you know what the wildest part is? The actual economic fundamentals in a struggling market might not have even changed overnight, but perception has. And in global markets, perception alone is powerful enough to radically reverse the flow of trillions of dollars, completely bypassing the underlying economic reality.
So that really begs the question, who controls global capital?
The crazy reality is, there is no single pilot flying this plane. It's a perpetual, global negotiation. You've got central banks turning the dials on interest rates, governments setting policy, banks handing out credit, and fund managers shifting massive pools of liquidity. And, increasingly, you have computer algorithms executing cross-border trades in fractions of a millisecond. They all have a hand on the steering wheel, just responding to each other in this frantic, non-stop loop.
But you know, when you really boil the whole shebang down, the biggest force in the global economy isn't a government, and it definitely isn't a central bank. It's the investor. The collective greed, fear, and perception of millions of investors is what truly dictates who gets funding, who thrives, and who barely survives. Ultimately, the markets are really just a reflection of human behavior operating at an unimaginable scale.
Think about it. If capital moving across borders dictates the fate of entire nations, and millions of individual investors ultimately end up moving together like a giant herd, making the exact same decisions at the exact same time, who actually controls the world? It's a pretty fascinating way to look at the invisible strings running our economy. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning where the money is going next.